All right. Welcome to On the Sideline. I'm your host, Jeff Holden. Today we're here with Big O,
Your favorite guy.
Coach Evan Hearn, and our special guest, head coach AD over in Vernon, Coach Kevin Sherrill. We'll just jump right into it. Go ahead and, if you don't mind, introduce yourself to those who may not know who you are.
Kevin Sherrill. This is going to be my 5th year in Vernon. And like you said, AD, head football coach over there. It's going to be my 27th year, I want to say, as a coach. So been around a while. But, looking forward to this coming year. And I feel like we've got some good cats coming back. So we're excited about it.
All right, awesome. And like I mentioned, as you guys may know or may not know, this is year 2 of our football preview on the sideline, football preview. And today's the first day. Coach Sherrill's one of the very first coaches here. Thanks again for coming.
You bet.
And, we'll just fire shots at you.
Okay.
You answer the best or however you feel. And, let's get started. So go ahead.
Go ahead. Yeah, Coach, just tell us about your team last year, you guys' record, and how you guys finished.
We went 9-4. Got beaten out in the 3rd round by Shallowater. A game that I feel like if we could play it again, I feel like we left a lot of plays on the field. There toward the end, that final stretch of playoff games, we beat Sweetwater in the bi-district playoff round, beat River Road in the 2nd round, and, of course, got Shallowater in the 3rd round. I felt like at that point in time our defense was really playing well. Coach Payne, Coach Kinney doing an excellent job on that side of the ball. So, again, we fell to Shallowater, but I felt like, man, we left a lot of plays on the field. Got some good kids coming back. We finished 3rd in district behind Peaster. They got us there, and, of course, Paradise won the district. We didn't leave our best on the field against Paradise, another game that we'd like to have back, but, hats off to them. I mean, Coach Cook did a great job. He's been doing a great job for years there at Paradise, and, of course, he's retired. But, I think his son, I believe, is going to take over in his absence, and I know they're going to keep on rocking and rolling. And then Coach Owen from Peaster did a good job against us. They had a great game plan, so, they got us. But I feel like on the heels of that, we kind of regrouped and started maybe playing, close to our best ball. So, again, it was a good season for us. First time Vernon had been, 3 rounds deep since, I want to say, 2013 or 14. I don't know. Somewhere around in there. Really proud of the way the guys responded. Our kids work hard, man. They bust their butts. They're just a bunch of great kids. So it was a lot of fun to kind of get into the playoff waters and get a couple of wins because we've been knocking on that door. We made the playoffs, 2 years prior, and we were beaten out in the 1st round the year before by Paradise, of course. But it was good to, like I say, get to that 3rd round. I think that's left us hungry this year for more. So we'll see what happens.
Let's talk about and we did a playoff pick'em, and I took you guys, so I was keen in on that Sweetwater game. But I did. But let's talk about that Sweetwater victory. Like you mentioned how you had been knocking on the door, then the year before you guys get beat out in the 1st round by Paradise. So how big was it to, once again, you were the 3 seed and they were the 1 or the 2, I believe?
I think they were the 2.
2 in their district. Yes. So, yeah. I mean, technically, whatever you want to say. But let's talk about that win and finally getting over the hump. And as you're saying,
well, there's some anxiety there because, we haven't gotten a playoff win with this particular group of kids. So we were going into that game understanding that, Coach Lucas at Sweetwater, he's got some success under his belt and stuff like that. We knew they'd be prepared. We felt like we had a good game plan. I feel like it was the most solid game that we played pretty much on our schedule. I mean, from beginning to end. You think of guys like Ty Scott, True Gibson. I felt like, we got really good play from a couple of seniors. Javi Lopez, inside linebacker, played well for us. We had some guys that really stepped up. It was a fun game. I felt like, it kind of went back and forth early. But once we established control, I don't think we relented. We kind of just, put our foot on their throat a little bit. They kept fighting. I knew a team coached by Coach Lucas would, but we never let up. Our guys just really kind of showed their stuff in that game. And, moving to the second game, Ty Scott, who, he's pivotal, whether it's on offense, of course, as quarterback. He's also pivotal in the secondary. Rolled his ankle early against River Road. He wasn't the same after that. So that's a shame. The Sweetwater game really was our best game. No excuses with the Shallow Water game. Coach Vincent did a great job. They beat us. River Road gave us a tough go as well. But I was just really proud of the kids. It was a complete victory, offensively and defensively. Coach Payne had a great, plan for Sweetwater. And I just felt like we were the more physical team. And we really asserted our dominance, I think, especially with our ground game. So I was proud of that.
So you mentioned Ty Scott's injury. We all know he's star stud quarterback over there. Yeah. Did he sit out during the River Road game, or was there times where he missed? And then also into the shallow water game, was he the same Ty Scott? Probably not. Obviously, I don't.
Well, he rolled his ankle early in the River Road game, late first quarter, something like that. So he was kind of in, and he was dealing for us, But we do so much read game with Ty, and read game.
People probably didn't expect us to do that, but we did, and we probably could have went further. But having said that, how excited are you for this year? And give us some of your losses from the senior class, and then some of your addition or some of the guys that may be stepping up.
Well, number one, very excited about this year. We've started off summer right and had really good attendance and stuff like that. And part of that is, leadership from your seniors, your incoming seniors. So we're talking about Ty, we're talking about True, we're talking about Jamari Chance, we're talking about Keegan Ballard, guys like that who have been bought in, guys who were in the middle school when I first got the job, and we knew that they were going to be a special group, and we were excited about them. So I just love these guys. So that makes it fun right there, just they've grown up with me. They've been there. They were like the foundation, okay? We always talk about how important it is to start with the middle schoolers, to have our varsity guys get down there and coach on those middle schoolers because they're going to be the future. And they were really that first group. So, it's awesome to be able to see them from the middle school all the way through their senior year. And, again, I love them. The coaching staff loves them. So they're just a lot of fun to be around. That pumps you up. It makes you feel good about the upcoming year. We're in a tough district, so they better be their best, because we're in a tough district with a lot of good coaches. And it's not going to get any easier. It's only going to get harder. So, You know, they're going to have to be on their game. I fully expect them to be, but that's going to be a lot of fun. You know, as far as guys that we're going to miss, you know, I got to start with AD, Darius Williams. You know, he struggled his senior year. He struggled with injuries. He just was never really full speed old AD like we saw him his junior year, because that cat can really go. And I hate that. He missed several games. For example, when we talked about, you know, we had our district meeting after the schedule was complete, you know, AD was honorable mention. He didn't even get like a first round, you know, first team all district selection because he had missed 3 district games. You know, he had some quad issues and stuff like that. He just wasn't the same. In typical AD fashion, man, he ran his butt off against shallow water, just lowering those shoulders and running under his shoulder pads, behind his shoulder pads, just in the fashion that we would expect AD to do. So we're going to miss him. I wish his senior season had been better, but you know, it is what it is. I mean, I went through it with my son, so you can't ever gauge how a season's going to go, and you certainly can't do anything about, you know, nicks and bangs and scrapes and bruises and stuff like that. It was more than that for AD, because I can tell you that kid, if he could find a way to be in there, he would be in there. Also, I'll tell you somebody that stepped up, and I brought my roster because I want to make sure I give these guys props. But Carter Kieschnick played safety for us. He was a kid that did not play the year before, didn't know, you know, what we were going to get from him. I mean, that dude stepped in. He was a great downhill cat for us. We're going to miss him. As I think about seniors, Carson Shapa in the backfield, he was a guy that came in kind of flying under the radar, really did some good things for us in the backfield, you know, there toward the end of the year. Nick Guzman, inside linebacker for us. He and Javi Lopez, man, they did some really solid work there at that inside linebacker position. I feel like a lot of people kind of underestimated them, you know. They stepped up. They were really good with their gap fills and stuff like that, physical cats. We're going to definitely miss them. And then when I think about like linemen who stepped up that maybe, you know, we weren't, you know, thinking they were going to be a big deal, or maybe he wasn't going to be a big deal. Hilton Rodenberger was a starter for me all year long. And if you'd told me that before the season started, I'd said, you know, you're lying to me. But he stepped up. We had a position for him to fill, and, man, he did it. And then one other cat that really did a job for us was Landon Bynum at the outside linebacker position. I was very proud of the way he stepped in there and just did some really good things. Jaden Cooper, as a receiver, did some good things for us. So, you know, those seniors are going to be missed.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about this season going forward with your group of the kids that you have now. So how many returning starters do you have coming back on offense and returning defensively, and who's going to kind of take the torch of being the next guy, of kind of being the leader and getting this team going for this upcoming season?
Okay, so offensively, you know, we're going to bring a lot of guys back on the offensive line. We're looking at probably returning 6, 7 starters. You know, depending on the set, we have some guys that come in and they're kind of personnel guys, so you can look at them as a starter. Maybe they're not going to be in our T set when we're under center or whatever. Of course, True Gibson in the backfield. Another guy we're going to have in the backfield is Ryan Fieldhouse. He was a freshman last year. Can really do some damage. He got a concussion early on in the season, and I'm just going to tell you, he was kind of plagued with that. So we're, you know, hoping that he's going to stay healthy. He's just a little athletic cat, but you know, he's really a good scat back type. I mean, he's kind of like a True Gibson. You know, all he needs is a crease, and I mean, he hits it downhill. So, you know, in the backfield, we're looking at those two guys. Offensively, as far as, you know, sometimes we'll get into a 3-back set. So when you start thinking about that fullback position, a kid that played outside linebacker for us last year, Bowie Aiken, looking at him at fullback, Tice Payne, Coach Payne's son, outstanding freshman football player, played outside linebacker for us. You know, he was honorable mention All-State. So we're looking at him in the backfield as well, maybe in some of our H-back sets or whatever when we're in 2-back gun, certainly in our 3-back, maybe at that fullback position. Keegan Ballard played center for us last year. He was an honorable mention All-State guy. He's coming back this year. Christian Gallegos played guard for us. He was an honorable mention All-State, so, you know, he's coming back. Manny Ochoa started at strong tackle for us. Quick tackle was Ethan Wilkinson. He was also a starter. He's coming back. We got Jamari Chance, who's a wide out there. We feel like he can really do some damage. Just an athletic guy who can go up and get the ball. David Albaneda is another guy. Kason Sanders got some playing time. We got a little freshman, Xander Leha, who got in there and made some big catches for us. We got some guys offensively that are coming back that we feel good about. You look at the defensive side of the ball. Of course, didn't mention Ty at quarterback, but we've already talked about him a little bit, man. He's huge. He's also big in the secondary. Ty is a ball hawk. He has a way of just getting to the football when the ball's in the air. Fieldhouse is that way too. If we can keep him healthy, I feel like he can really do some damage in the secondary. Of course, we always, we don't have the luxury of having a lot of depth. So you look at guys like True, like Jamari, like Ty. I talk about them on offense. Well, they're going to be the same guys are going to have to be out there and be our playmakers on defense. Again, Bowie Aiken at that outside linebacker position, Tice Payne at that outside linebacker position. We'll see kind of who can step up inside. I know that Tice possibly may have to play an inside linebacker spot. We got other kids like Donovan Montano. He didn't start for us last year, but he's a real physical guy. Up front, Adrian Felton. He's just going to be a junior this next year. Felton really did some damage. Really good speed rusher.
He's a beast.
Yeah. Really good speed rusher just for alignment. Athletic is all get out, so we're looking forward to that. Braden Booth. I tell you, a kid who also is going to make some noise is Mason Ballard. And another guy that we had that, it was limited, but he got some time, Jacob Brown. He's a big kid. He's going to be a senior this year. He's a lineman type. Looking at him at some split tackle, but also looking at him at, defensive end. So those guys are going to make some noise. We feel like we've got a good crew coming back, and we've got some young ones who are going to step up. And, I feel some gaps, role players, be role players where we need them. So really excited about it.
Yeah, and you just real quick, just mentioning you brought your roster, but you didn't look down one time. Clearly you have a relationship or yeah. Which is really awesome for you to know, that many players' names and stuff, which, I think it's really cool.
I appreciate it.
Real quick.
I think that's a testament, though, for him saying something that he said earlier in the show, that this is the first group of middle school kids that are getting ready to be seniors. So I tell everybody, whenever you're a coach, especially in the smaller town programs, when they can reach back and really get involved with the junior high, going to the top of Texas games, those are where you really start to see, man, this coach has been knowing my name since I was, and those kids buy into that, know. So
I think that, touching on that, and it was something I was going to talk about earlier, I think when you're a head coach, and you could probably answer this, you go somewhere expecting to get, hopefully, 5-6 years so that you can see those kids that you start to mold and get in. And then when they're seniors, that's when you're going to be or should be at your tip-top performance. And I think we got a taste of that last year going 3 rounds deep. And that's why I'm excited about Vernon football this year, is because I'm ready to see what you guys do again with a lot of these same guys. And I think I don't other than, heaven forbid any injuries, but you guys probably, we have high expectations for Vernon football.
I think we can rattle some cages, like you said. I feel like, I know we've gotten better each year. And that's always, the goal. My first year, we were 1-9, and then we went 6-5, and then we went 8-3, and last year we went 9-4. So you just want to get better every single year. And that's what we talk to the kids about. So what does that mean? Well, that means we're going to have a better summer. We're going to have to build on the things that we know make us a great football team. And that's what we want to be, is we want to be a great football team. And, it comes down to a lot of things. There has to be, just tangible leadership. We have to see the leadership every single day. We have to see the leadership during the summer. We have to see the leadership in the weight room, the leadership on the field. Ty is so hungry for that role. Probably more so than anyone else I've got on the team. He's very capable, and he understands what he needs to do daily. We tell these guys, hey, listen, we're going to try to put you in the best position to be successful, but at the end of the day, it's your program. It's not my program. It's not the Coach Payne's program. It's your program. So we need ownership. And before we got out of school, one of my coaches, Coach Baugh, he's a rock star. we talked about a little boot camp that we wanted to do. Well, what we did was we got our best leaders, and a lot of coaches do this, and of course we stole this from somebody else, but we split them into like 6 groups. Well, Ty was one of our leaders. Jamari was one of our leaders. We had guys that we felt like were reliable and stuff like that. Well, going into the summer, of course, we assigned each group of kids, we assigned a coach to each group, but at the end of the day, we told our group leaders, our platoon leaders, you're the guys that need to get them up here for the summer. Coaches, and we still do, man, we still make phone calls to mom and dad, hey, get your butt up here, where was Jaden today, stuff like that. But we tell the kids like Ty, you get them up here, all right? This is your program. You own this program, all right? What do you want out of your senior year? If you want something great, then that means we're going to have to pay the price every day. And, I just feel like they're willing to do it. And I feel like we can take the next step. It's not going to be easy because, listen, I think Coach Swenson did a really good job at Iowa Park. I think he was a good guy. I think he was a solid football coach. There's always factors that come into play that maybe, limit you a little bit. Maybe you're not as successful as you want to be. But I know Coach Wood, man. Coach Wood's got a lot of playoff victories under his belt. So I know Iowa Park's going to be better. Paradise isn't going to miss a beat. I know Coach Owen's going to do a great job at Peaster. Ponder's looking good, man. They're bringing a lot of guys back. Coach Price does a great job at Bowie. Listen, we're going to have to be at the top of our game every day. And we talk to these guys all the time about time. Time is what you don't have. That's one of those luxuries that you run out of very quickly. And we can't let anything slide. I hate to be so OCD about summer, but listen, man, summer's when you get the jump on people, especially early in your schedule. If our summer program is better than some of the guys we're going to be playing early on, that gives us the advantage. So that's one thing we've been very fortunate to have, and it's gotten better each year is our summer strength and conditioning. And it's going well, and like I say, that's a testament to kids like Ty, to kids like True, Jamari, Keegan, Mason, all those guys that we see as leaders of our program, they're kind of stepping up and they're getting kids up there. So
you talked a little bit about, of course, your district and naming those teams. What is your non-district schedule and week by week, and how is that the non-district opponents looking?
Open up with Burke, then go to Gainesville, City View, and then we had Frederick on our schedule. Frederick dropped us, so I had to find a 4th game, a week 4 game or whatever. And that's difficult because, you always agree to play for 2 years, then realignment rolls around. So, that kind of rubbed me the wrong way, but it is what it is. So we picked up Prosper ISD Richland High School. So it's a new high school, which means that, they're not going to have a ton of seniors. They're starting a program, but they're also going to have numbers. And, of course, we had to pick up some sub-varsity games at, different locations and stuff like that. But,
that's a
we'll
testament
see.
to your success.
We'll see.
We just had Coach Nolan on here, and they won state. He said he had 5 teams drop from him with that same thing. So you go 3 rounds in the playoffs, some teams may not want to play you anymore. Yeah. I know that sucks, though, but.
Well, it just is what it is, and you just it's kind of a verbal agreement. Hey, listen, you want to play, and really, Frederick reached out to us. Okay, so coming off realignment, I was going to have to do some rearranging of my schedule and stuff like that, and Coach Tyler reached out to me, and I thought, okay, hey, listen, this will work. They're just down the road and stuff like that, and he was very adamant about it, and then all of a sudden he's not. So. You have to adjust, and we did, and that's what our pre-district schedule looks like. We're going to scrimmage Lamesa right out of the gate, and then we're going to scrimmage Holiday, and then it's Burke week 1. So
at home.
So you talked about it under center, and we live in an era where there's RPOs and shotgun, and quarterbacks are throwing the ball all over the place. Yeah. But I think, as you said, in your first year you go 1-9. But laying the foundation, and now it's gotten better and better and better. How hard was it to lay the foundation of the offensive philosophy that you wanted, but now see the result of it with these guys, or over the last couple of years, and now with these guys being seniors?
I'm a run guy, always will be at my core. I feel like with an aggressive physical run game, you produce aggressive physical linemen, and we pride ourselves on that. 7-on-7's been difficult this summer. We played in a spring league. that Coach Williams put together at Burke Burnett, and Memorial was in there, Legacy was in there, Holiday, et cetera, et cetera. I can't think Coach Lloyd. That's who it was. Coach Lloyd at Seymour had been putting together a summer league for us, 7-on-7. He left and he went to Roscoe or whatever, so that kind of fell by the wayside. So we were kind of scrambling for a 7-on-7 schedule for the summer. I'm kind of running on a little bit, but anyway, we've kind of been meeting up with Holiday and stuff like that. But I say all that to say this: I'm a run first guy. We've got the athletes that dictate that we're going to have to throw the ball a little bit. I mean, when you got a guy like Jamari Chance who's wide out there, and Ty's doing a really good job with his progressions, with his reads and stuff like that. Man, we got to air it out a little bit, But run first. I told these guys when I got here, and by these guys I'm talking about the school board, Jeff Bird, who was the superintendent who hired me and stuff like that. I told him I'm a run first guy. And when I was coming from Sonora, our offense was a slot T. So I told him, I said, you're going to see some under center stuff, and we're never going to abandon that. You don't see it a lot. I like it for a lot of reasons. First of all, we're going to have some wrinkles where Ty can run the ball under center. I'd be stupid if I didn't do that, So I feel like under center, it's a quick strike, if you will. Any of your read plays that you can run out of the gun, hit a lot quicker, under center. A lot quicker, maybe a step or two quicker. So I feel like being a downhill team, having a fullback, whether it's going to be, whether it's Tice or whether it's Bowie, we'll see. Both of those cats are downhill backs. So I feel like that it brings an element to the table of, quick strike, 3 yards in a cloud of dust, stuff like that. I feel like if you can do that, you can put yourself in a better position on second down. So it's second down and manageable. Maybe, second down and short, then you can, maybe go up top or something like that. So it's been a long process. I think the guys knew that hired me what they were going to get. Again, we're gonna be in gun. We're gonna be in two back a little bit. Well, most of the time two back, more of a power gun, but some one back and stuff like that because we do have some guys that can go up and get the ball. And I'll tell you this: Tice has been repping at fullback, Tice Payne, but Tice has great hands. So that flex tight end, he's a good route runner, and he'll certainly go up and get the ball like a Jamari Chance. David Albaneda's solid. Kason Sanders solid. We got some guys that can go up and get it. So that dictates that, hey, whether it's play action, whether it's quick stuff, whether it's 3-game or 3-step or 5-step, we got to do it. But man, it's been a process, but we haven't abandoned our roots. I mean, we're always going to be we're going to try to be a downhill team.
But I think that's Vernon's. That's who Vernon's been ever since I've known Vernon football. Vernon has had some amazing running backs that's came in the history of Vernon. I mean, back in the years that I played, they had Lonte Hobbs played at TCU, heck of a running back.
Sure,
They've had running backs that came through there. So ever since I've known Vernon, I think run. I've never thought spread or anything. I've thought of aggressive in your mouth football. So I think you're just bringing you're just bringing what Vernon is. Across the state, Vernon has been known as a power, hit you in the mouth type of football.
I think it's pretty, blue collar community.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's a diverse community. It's blue collar.
And they show out. Vernon shows out.
They do.
They travel well.
A little bit of an attitude and stuff like that. And I think what we do, I think, kind of fits that. And, of course, our field house, man, it's old. It's been there a while. All those cats you mentioned and stuff like that, they can come back. They can walk through the field house. And believe me, it hasn't changed much. But, right there between our locker rooms, between the varsity locker room, the freshman and the JV locker room, we've got our training room, and then you've got the pictures, of Leo Britton's 1990 guys, stuff like that. And, man, you see some GoDaddies on the wall.
Yeah.
They've had some cats in the past, no doubt. And we've got some decent athletes now, so, we'll see what happens.
So I got a quick question. This isn't really football related, but you keep saying cats. Like, was that something that you developed whenever you came to Vernon because of their Lions, cats, or is it
it's
something you kind of always
that
said?
I say. Some people call them dudes. I call them cats. I mean, it kind of fits. No,
I've heard both. It's just where you originated from, like
Lubbock area, man.
Yeah, because I was about to say something about they say cats up there. Man, that dude a cat. Man.
I just think it's pretty cool.
I just started hearing dudes until I came to Wichita.
Sure, yeah. Like I say, I've been around some guys. Well, he's a dude, and I don't know. I just call them cats.
That's funny. That's funny. But so we talked about your pre-district schedule. would you mind going over your district schedule, and then also let us know how was that transition last year? Now that you got 1 year of that realignment in your belt, didn't you guys you guys went from a completely different district, right? Or did y'all stay there?
We kept
From last year.
we
We
kept
added 2
IP,
teams.
we kept Bowie.
Okay.
But outside of that, yeah.
So just touch on how, now you're 1 year through your 2 year alignment, how that has helped
it didn't
or
get
changed.
any easier.
Yeah.
We were in there with Jim Ned and Clyde and those guys, Breckenridge. District schedule, September 26th, we're going to open up district with Paradise. So, the top dogs.
Right off the
right
rip.
out of the gate. Then we got Ponder, Boyd, open after that on October the 17th, Bowie, Iowa Park, and we finished with Peaster on November the 7th. So, the district didn't get any easier. Everybody has athletes. I feel like everyone's well coached. You look at a team that has probably struggled with football. I look at Bowie, for example. Coach Price is doing a heck of a job, man. He really is.
Yeah, he is.
And Bowie gets better and better each year. Like I said, Coach Wood coming into IP, he's only going to help. I think Iowa Park, those kids are going to be real excited, about Coach Wood being in there with his resume and stuff like that. I have no doubt that they've got a good summer strength program going, so they're going to be formidable again. I know Coach Cook is out at Paradise, but again, I feel like it's his son that's going. They're not going to change, man. They got a formula for success. They're going to stay the same. Ponder's reloading. Peaster, they lost some linemen, bringing all their skill guys back, so it's tough, and especially when you think about those teams. Even Boyd, so, Boyd, Paradise, Ponder, Peaster, you think about all those guys around the Metroplex, that area is not shrinking.
No.
That area is growing, and that means that, kids are moving in. This next realignment, will some of those guys move up? I don't know, probably. But right now we got to deal with them, this coming football season, and man, they're going to be formidable. So.
And I think last year, not to go back to last year, I think the injury bug played a huge role in you guys'. Even though you were 9-4, I think, especially in district, I think not making any excuses, but having AD and both Ty nurturing injuries, because I think Ty missed the Paradise game and
he missed the City View game as well.
Yeah, the City View game. So those
AD
games,
missed the Paradise. Ty missed the City View game. AD missed several district games. Ty missed, again, the City View game. And then he also, he played the Shallow Water game, but he wasn't himself,
He was not read optioning.
He
was 24 handoff.
yeah, but he nurtured that injury pretty much all time. Once he got hurt, he was nurturing.
Yeah, but he's a dog, man, or a cat.
Yeah.
Man. He didn't mess around.
No,
Like,
I get that, but what he brings to the table when you kind of have any type of leg injury, it's a little bit, it's different. Like
it's dicey, and like I say, man, City View, for example, I'm not taking one thing away from Coach Aldridge. City View came out ready to play us, man. They played their butts off. They got after us. Had Ty been out there, it was going to be a dogfight, man. City View's they're going to be formidable. Those kids work hard, man. I haven't had the opportunity to meet their new coach, but I just know that they're going to continue to progress and get better and better. Yeah, coming from you, sure. Coming from me, well, Ty was out this game. AD missed several district games. It all sounds like excuses, and at the end of the day, man, that's what it is. The games we won, we won. The games we lost. Sure, if I could go back and have all of those guys 100% every single game, dang right. But,
it's football.
That's football. That's right.
Yep.
And it's a
That's why we
shame
love
that,
it.
listen, a quarterback is big for any team, and for us, with our quarterback being as much a part of our run game as he is, we miss that guy.
A big factor on defense.
And like against City View, we put AD back there and did some wildcat. Well, AD, man, what an athlete. What an athlete. But that doesn't take away from the fact that that's not what AD reps every day. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
AD, he got some reps, but he didn't. I mean, the guy is Ty at that particular position. So it makes a difference. But like I say, everybody in the district and everybody, pre-district, they've all got their own injuries that they're dealing with. So it just is what it is.
Well, Coach, I'm finna give you a question that I have to ask. You know, I asked you this. We asked you last year, Allsups, burritos, and things, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask you this year for the Big O Special. Since you kind of your district changed a little bit, what was a place that you guys enjoyed eating at this year, being on the road?
Well, you know, listen, I usually don't set that up. Okay, so you ask me, I'm going to tell you Whataburger or Cane's, man. I mean, that's
Cane's. I love Cane's.
Cane,
I love Whataburger
those
too,
two places are they're my favorite. We typically don't, venture out. In other words, we don't really try most of the places we go are franchise places, chain places, whatever you want to call them. So I think it's hard to go wrong with Whataburger, and I think it's hard to go wrong.
Are you
going to
get Cane's on the way home today?
I probably will. My son's already asked me, "Hey, Dad, pick it up." And I said, "Okay, yeah."
So I guess
will.
I'll ask you this: with you being a guy from Vernon, living in Vernon, what's the mom and pop shop that you would probably, if we were going to eat in Vernon and we weren't going to a franchise place, where would be somewhere we should probably eat?
Well,
at?
people around Vernon will tell you I don't get out much, but I do like Bevo's.
Oh,
man.
I knew he's gonna say it.
I like Bevo's.
That's my
I don't
spot,
know.
baby. They burgers.
Their
are off
burgers,
this-
yeah.
Ooh.
The Bandit, the
The
Texas
Bevo
Bandit,
burger.
man. That's hard
You
to
ever been
beat.
there?
So
You ever been to Bevo's?
So we need to go.
I think I might have. I can't.
it's right there off Wilbarger, man.
Them
It's
burgers are good.
It's
and
Put
it's
it on
a
our
homemade
list.
style.
Hey, start the
burger.
list. Start the list.
Bevo.
Bevo's. Yeah,
Places to go whenever we visit different places.
You know, I know.
All right, I'll ask you one more question too, Coach, real quick. What are your expectations, or what are we going to see from Vernon football this year?
Number one, we just want to build on what we've done. So 9-4 last year, okay, we want to top that. We want to be better than that. We talk about, that all the time with the kids. Set your goals high. So, we want to contend for a district championship. It's not going to be easy, not disrespecting Paradise in any way. And we've got Peaster to contend with because they got the best of us too. So we want to build on what we've done. We never want to regress. We always want to progress. And that's what we talk about all the time, whether we're testing in the weight room, whether it's football, whether it's 40 times, we want to consistently get better. And if we can do that, everything else is going to take care of itself. When we get out there on the football field, but even in the weight room and stuff like that, we try to be very detail-oriented. Well, I'm not saying anything that any other coach that we're going to line up against isn't trying to do as well. But we really emphasize the small stuff as best as we can, whether it's fundamentals in the weight room, whether it's just enthusiasm in the weight room, whether it's, conditioning. We've got a tire track just north of our stadium. We try to pull tires, once a week. We want to be tougher each year, mentally tougher, physically tougher. We want to be stronger each year. We're not going to be the biggest guys out there. You see teams post all the time, a pick in the weight room or something like that, and you'll see it on Dave Campbell's or whatever, and you look at them and you're thinking, man, those cats are getting strong. We're probably not going to win a beauty contest prior to the game. Of course, you look at kids like Ty, you look at True. Yes, man, they look good, they're athletic and stuff like that. But I'm talking about just being the biggest team on the field. We're not going to be that. But we want to be pound for pound. We want to try to be the strongest. So what are my expectations for this year? My expectations are to go farther than we did last year, be better than we were last year. I'm not going to sit here and say, hey, we're going to be district champs. We're going to, play to the fifth round or anything like that. Do I feel like we can? Oh, yeah, I do. And I want our kids to have that confidence too, because they should. They should. When I talk to Ty, when I talk to True, when I talk to Jamari, Keegan, Christian, whoever it is, I want them to have that confidence because they can go out there and they can go toe-to-toe with anybody. They can go toe-to-toe with anyone on our schedule. There's no doubt in my mind. And I know that those guys that coach those other teams, they're saying the same things because they absolutely can. I feel like our district is a very, very solid district, man. I feel like it's one of the better districts in the state of Texas. When you think about 3AD1, it's solid up and down. So, we're going to have to strap it on every Friday night and be our best on Friday nights. And it's up to our coaching staff to put us in a position to be that. It's up to me. And I want our kids also to be able to look back. I want Ty, I want True, I want Jamari, I want Keegan, I want Mason, all of these guys that are going to be seniors this coming year. Christian, all of them, Ethan, Jacob Brown, all these guys. I want them to be able to look back and say, we got the most that we could out of our senior season. What does that mean? I don't know what it means. I don't know. Maybe it's 4 rounds, maybe it's 5 rounds. We're going to have to earn every step, and we're going to have to, earn every level we get to. I don't know. I just want them to be better than they were last year, and that's up to us. It's up to the coaching staff to get them to that spot. And I want them to look back and say, you know what, man, we left it all on the field. Mm-hmm. And if we had some injuries that hurt us, so be it. You can't control that stuff, but we dang sure went out there and gave everybody all they could handle on Friday nights. From the first quarter to the last. I love these guys. I'm very proud of them. I'm proud of where they are right now. And I just want them to finish right. And I feel like if we can, stay healthy and just get better every week, we're going to have a really good year.
So my last question to you is, you've been in Vernon now 5 years, and like Big O touched, and you did as well. Football is a big part, obviously in Texas, but in the community of Vernon. So just tell us about the community of Vernon and how much football means to them.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, like I say, Vernon's a blue-collar community, a lot of working-class people, man. There's a lot of guys that were members of those teams of years past, that went a long way. And there's a lot of pride there. Their kids are playing now, and they have those same expectations for their kids, and rightfully so. So it's something that, Friday nights can shut down the town, and I feel like as we continue to be successful, crowds get bigger, a little more raucous and stuff like that. You've got people reaching out, wanting to be a part of things, whether it's top of Texas or whatever the case may be. I feel like we've got really good leadership with our booster club. Corey Aiken is heading that up. When I first got there, listen, people were doing what they could, but it wasn't what it is now. It's built. It's been built along the way. I think people in Vernon are getting a sense of, hey, listen, the football program's getting better and better. It's headed in the right direction. Hopefully that's what they think, and it creates a general excitement. And there's a lot of guys who were cats back in the day in the community, and they take a lot of pride in it. And you find that again in those type of towns, those blue collar towns, man. And to me, I'm not from Vernon, but when I look at it and think about what it's all about, that's what I see. So,
yeah, that's pretty awesome. I'm excited about Vernon football this year. I know you are. I know Vernon is. I've always been a football town to me that's showed up and supported. Sure. Real quick, I know I said that was my last question, but how is summer attendance good for you guys?
It is. It's been real good.
I know you touched on the importance of it.
We've had the guys that we need have been there, but we've had some good attendance, with our younger guys. You always have to find role players, man. You always want to get everyone up there. You want to get them hooked because it's so easy for kids to fall through the cracks during summertime. You're always going to have those guys that are kind of on the fence with football. Sometimes these days football can be a harder sell. It's a tough sport. We play it out in the heat. We practice out in the heat. You're looking at some 100-plus degree days. It's a tougher sell than what it used to be. So, you want to keep your hooks in those guys that, for example, our incoming 9th grade class, man, we were doing, I'm going to use a basketball term. We were doing a full court press with those guys there toward the end of the school year. We'd worked with them all year and stuff like that, but, you just hammer on them. Hey, listen, man, looking forward to summer, looking forward to seeing you this summer. Can't wait to see what you do in high school, on Thursday nights. They'll be Thursday night guys, most of them. Mm-hmm. There might be a freshman or two that suits out with us on Friday nights. You never know. Somebody like Tice Payne doesn't come along very often, but we had Tice. We had a kid like Ryan Fieldhouse, who was a freshman that suited out for us. Another kid that I didn't mention, he was a JV guy last year, but Silas Belcher, he's going to find a home on the offensive line somewhere, and he's only going to be a sophomore this coming year. So, it's been good. And the thing is you can't let anything slip, whether it's via Sports U or texting them or calling dad and mom and saying, hey, where is this guy? You know, we miss him. We're just worried about him. We want him up here. It'll make him better. So you got to stay on top of them, but it's been pretty good so far.
And something you said earlier, which like you don't hear a lot of people say, but you said the season, like that the most important part of the season is the summer.
Sure.
And so I think a lot of parents, like you mentioned, or like we know, you know, football's a hard sell. Summers, you know, a lot of parents think, oh, you know, summer's for us, family and vacations and stuff like that. But it is what it is. But I agree with you. I think the programs that get better, like you said, if our program's getting better and doing more in the summer than Peaster and Ponder and all these other teams, like, then, you know, it's going to show during the season.
And, you know, I feel like if you're going to be competitive, you always have to have that sense of urgency, that feel like, man, if I take a step back, somebody else is going to get the best of me, you know. And that's kind of the way I approach things. You know, Coach Payne, Coach Northcutt, Coach Stinson, Coach Kenny, Coach Ball, all my guys, Coach Perez, Coach Owen. We picked up Carrasco this year, picked up Coach Davis from La Mesa, Coach Wynn, Coach Murguia. All those guys I feel like are like that, man. You know, we feel like, hey, listen, if we're taking a step back, if we're not gaining ground, we're losing ground, you know. So that sense of urgency has to be present. It has to be present on the coaching staff. It has to be present with the kids. And you mentioned summer. And the thing is, summer has changed. You know, way back when I was playing and stuff like that, man, it was like open weight room. Okay, so you'd get a job, you'd come lift in the evenings and stuff like that. Maybe there'd be a workout up there for you, a running workout. You'd do it kind of on your own. Well, now you've got summer strength conditioning. You've got summer league basketball. You've got 7-on-7. All this stuff is going on, so it's changed a lot. So really, it's just a race to try to get as much out of them as you can in a short amount of time. And at the same time, you've got to understand, we tell our kids this, listen, you know, you've had to listen to Coach Sherrill every day of the school year, man, in the weight room and stuff like that. We understand. I understand that you got to have a break. You know, if you've got a family vacation planned, go. Get out of town. Yeah. You know, we've had some kids go to church camp. Can't think of any better place for them to be than church camp. Yeah. Good Lord's been good to me, man. You know, I'm going to wear my faith on my sleeves. I'm going to kind of get on a tangent here. You know, hey, again, the good Lord's been good to me. And at the end of the day, we want to make these kids better young men. You know, I want to win games. Sure. Man, I want to win games like crazy. I want to win games just as badly as anybody out there. I don't know, maybe more than some, maybe more than most. I don't know. But at the end of the day, I want these kids to have that foundation. My foundation comes from my faith, and the kids will tell you right now that Coach Sherrill doesn't shy away from that. So, again, we've had kids at church camp, man, good. Go to church camp, you know. When you're back in town, get your butt up here, you know. Yep. So we want to take care of them. We want them to get the most out of their athletic experience. Well, how are you going to do that, man? You gotta put into it, you know. I wish there was a pill they could take that they could just, you know, do their thing during the summer and have fun and come back, you know, 110%, but that's not going to happen.
Nope.
There's no substitute for hard work. So
exactly.
We try to get them up there.
And, again, I got one more last question.
Sorry. Yeah, that's right.
Your schedule is right in front of you. Is there any game that you have circled that you're looking forward to the most, or – for whatever reason, you just have it circled?
Well, you know, Paradise. You know, I mean, listen, when I look at our pre-district schedule, Coach Williams, man, he works his butt off at Burke Burnett. They're going to be better this year. Coach Searcy does a great job at Gainesville. They're always going to be athletic. They're going to be well coached, you know. They're going to be tough. City View, again, man, you know, Coach Aldrich did a heck of a job in his 2 years there, and who's the new coach? I can't think of his name right now.
Williams or
no? It's like I'm a blunder it. I have his contact.
They always do a great job in City View, and you know, they're always going to be athletic. So they're certainly a team that Coach Leviston.
Yeah,
they're a team that we can't. Well, I'm not even going to say. I was going to say overlook. Crap. I mean, it's going to be a dogfight. So, you know, they're going to come out there.
That's always a big.
Ready to get after us. So,
Vernon City.
I mean, we better be ready to get after them, because if we're not, you know, it's not going to be good for us. So, Leviston, he'll have those guys ready to go. But Paradise, you know, who knows with Richland High School, Prosper, it's going to be a bigger school. They're going to have numbers, so we better be ready to play. But Paradise is the game that I feel like, hey, listen, that's going to kind of give us a gauge of where we are. I don't know how it's going to turn out, but I do know this. We need to come out ready to fight. We need to come out ready to play. Now, we went into it without AD, but a lot of our guys, I think, were kind of wide-eyed against Paradise. We drove to Paradise. Paradise knew what they were all about.
That means they're coming to you this year.
They're coming to us. They knew what they were all about. They had a quarterfinal run under their belt last year, the year before. They went to the semifinals this year. They were expecting to go all the way, and they played us like that. We've got to get out and play with that sense of urgency. We went 3 rounds last year.
Yep.
We got to play like a team that is looking to go farther than 3 rounds this year. And what a way to gauge where you are, going against the district champs who went to the semis last year.
Game 1.
First game out of the gate, for district. So that's a game we've got circled. Don't know how it's going to end up, but I want us to give them all they can have.
I think having that game first will be good. I mean,
I think
it's a win-win, really.
When we got, when the district schedule fell like it did, as a coaching staff, we talked about it, and we said, hey, yeah, I like this. I like having the big dogs of the district first game out of the gate. But here's the thing. We didn't play like we needed to play. So that could have been a positive kind of turned into a negative for us. Now, it ended up being a positive because we kind of had to circle the wagons and as a coaching staff and talk about, all right, what are we doing right? What are we doing wrong? Because against Paradise just kind of had their way with us. It wasn't close. They were more physical than us. They played with more of an attitude than we did. Again, I felt like we were wide-eyed. They didn't get our best. But one of the reasons they didn't get our best is because they went out there and they took control of the game early, like a team that goes 4 rounds deep every year will do. So we kind of circled the wagons as a coaching staff. We met. All right, what are we doing wrong? What are we doing right? How are we prepared? Where did we misstep? And it was kind of a turning point for us. We started playing better football after that. But yes, I feel like it can be a real positive, if we have a great game plan and if we go out there and pin our ears back and play with no fear and understand, hey, listen, we can go toe-to-toe with these guys. Yes, they're a great team. Yes, they have great tradition, especially of late. Yes, they went 5 rounds last year. We can play with these guys. Man, we got to play with some attitude. That was the biggest thing for me that was missing is they knew what they could do. We were kind of like, can we play with these guys? Can we not? Okay, so they didn't get our best. So, yeah, it can be a positive thing playing that team that's picked to win our district right out of the gate. It'll tell you where you are.
Exactly.
And hopefully we're up to the task. So,
yeah. Well, Coach Sherrill, again, appreciate you making the trip. Hopefully you get some canes on the way home.
Yeah.
But we always enjoy you here. We can see your passion. As I'm a Burke guy. Yep. You guys have beat up on us for a couple years now, but I could say full-heartedly that your program has grown for the better every year as watching from a distance. So that's a testament to you and your coaching staff. So great job there. I'm excited about Vernon football. I know Evan's excited. I know we're all excited.
Sure.
So I hope to get out and see a game or two of y'all. And is there anything else for us before we cut it out?
That's all I've got. Anytime I do something like this, I want to make sure I give plenty of props to our players, plenty of props to our coaches, because we're all in it together. And I couldn't do this without them and vice versa. Again, we're all in it together. But that's all I got.
All right, Coach. Well, we appreciate you. Good luck this season. And anytime you need anything from us or whatever, just let us know.
Absolutely.
Thanks
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.